presentaciones que quedaron pendientes. Por lo tanto, ruego a sus excelencias tomar asiento para iniciar la sesión. I would like to give the floor now to His Excellency Camillo Gonsalves, Foreign Minister of the State of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Mr. Minister, you have the floor. Thank you.
Good morning, Mr. President. Your Excellencies, the heads of state and government of the Community of Latin American and Caribbean States, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, it's wonderful for us to resume in seemingly more intimate setting than yesterday. But permit me to apologize for the absence of Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves. Today he is engaged in the annual parliamentary debate on the budget of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and this important act of governance has dictated his absence from this summit. He nonetheless conveys his very best wishes to you, Mr. President, for a productive and successful summit. The delegation of St. Vincent and the Grenadines associates itself with the unanimous expressions of gratitude for the excellent preparations and facilities for this summit, to thank the government of the people of Costa Rica and the beautiful city of San Jose in particular for their very warm welcome and generous hospitality. We associate ourselves also with the statement delivered yesterday by the Bahamas on behalf of the Caribbean community. Mr. President, sitting among the 33 members of this community, I am reminded of the words of the Bible's 133rd Psalm, which begin with the words, "Behold, how good and how pleasant it is for brothers to dwell in unity." Ours is a unity and solidarity born of shared historical circumstances, mutual modern-day struggles, and common aspirations for the future. It is a solidarity that must be cherished and nurtured. It is a bond that must draw us ever closer in our collective quest for self-determination in the interest of our people's development and humanization. CELAC is an organization still in its infancy. This is only our third summit. We have already demonstrated a capacity and a willingness to confront difficult issues between and among our membership with passion, mutual respect, and a genuine desire to find meaningful solutions. Our discussions have also helped us to arrive at focused, forceful, consensual positions on matters of international importance. These positions have in turn amplified our voice and spurred meaningful change in global affairs. The integration of our region and our understanding of each other has undoubtedly benefited from the emergence of CELAC. We can rightly be proud of our collective role in spurring a change in American diplomatic posture towards our brothers and sisters in the Republic of Cuba, while still recognizing that the illegal blockade remains in place as a matter of American law. Our collective advocacy has always proceeded in the spirit of Jose Marti, whose writings give us the assurance that, quote, "Like stones rolling down hills, fair ideas reach their objectives despite all obstacles and barriers. It may be possible to speed or hinder them, but impossible to stop them. The unstoppable force of our principled objection to the embargo continues to overcome all manner of ideological obstruction." However, even as we congratulate Presidents Barack Obama and Raul Castro for their vision and courage in taking these first important steps towards resolution of this issue, so too must we remain vigilant, because our mission in this regard is not yet accomplished. We must similarly guard against new threats of legislative or clandestine overreach into the sovereign affairs of other members of our community. An old and discredited playbook is being dusted off and applied against the government and people of the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela, and this body must be resolute in its firm opposition to these disgraceful tactics. We cannot stand idly by and allow Venezuela to replace Cuba as the target of imperialist aggression. In the wake of the global economic and financial crisis, which was incubated, hatched, and unleashed from beyond the shores of CELAC member states, our community has been rightly vigorous in addressing structural impediments to our region's economic recovery and growth. The illogical and indefensible use of GDP per capita as a barrier to concessional finance for so-called middle-income countries, advocacy in the areas of financing for development, and the condemnation of vulture funds in the defense of Argentina's economic sovereignty were necessary and desirable areas for energetic CELAC intervention. St. Vincent and the Grenadines further expresses its deep appreciation for CELAC's continued support for the issue of reparations for slavery and native genocide. This quest for just restitution from those who illegally and immorally profited from the organized system of chattel slavery is a noise in the blood and an echo in the bones of the Caribbean people. We reaffirm our commitment to this just struggle to right an historic wrong, and we are comforted by the strong solidarity of CELAC member states. We can justifiably be proud of all of these early successes, but within the initial flush of enthusiasm and success lies the danger of administrative overreach and mission creep. The temptation to tackle all of the challenges that confront us simultaneously and with equal vigor is a noble but ultimately counterproductive quest. All of us are already members of multilateral bodies whose reach exceeds their grasp and whose raison d'etre is an endless cycle of ineffectual summitry and subcommittees. CELAC was conceived to be much more than that, and has been far more to date, but St. Vincent and the Grenadines supports the view of His Excellency President Correa and others who have advocated focused, practical, and results-oriented targets at the core of CELAC's mission, in addition, of course, to its continuing political advocacy. A CELAC with an action plan of implementable, measurable, and verifiable goals that are tangible and can be readily felt and appreciated by our citizens, particularly the poor and the marginalized. We must prioritize, ever mindful of the adage that if everything is a priority, then nothing is a priority. And the wisdom of St. Francis de Sales, who said it is far better to do a few things well than to undertake many good works and leave them half done. We look forward to a fulsome discussion of a possible short list of goals and targets that should form the core of CELAC's mission. From the perspective of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, CELAC's practical areas of cooperation and action should center on poverty alleviation and inequality, education and technology, youth empowerment, regional integration, inclusive economic growth, and environmental justice. Mr. Chairman, the issue of environmental justice and climate change is one that we must squarely confront this year in a manner that goes beyond the tepid banalities contained in formulaic declarations. This year, in the lead up to the Paris Climate Change Summit, the very existence of many of the countries in this body hangs in the balance. This is not breathless hyperbole. It is scientific fact. Our region will be most affected, from the coastal areas in South America to the nations of Central America to the deeply vulnerable islands of the Caribbean. Over endless rounds of negotiations, Caribbean countries have bent, but not broken, in the thus far futile pursuit of an acceptable solution. This year marks our breaking point. We request the solidarity and activism of this body in the defense of our right to exist. A guiding ethos of this body is that economic interests cannot be placed above the inalienable rights of human beings, that the false logic of economic might or imperial triumphalism cannot prevail over innocent, vulnerable, or marginalized peoples. That ethos must be applied to our just call for a legally binding treaty that ensures the survival of all peoples and all nations. In the past, there have been those who requested our solidarity, our support for forbearance and deferral of crucial mitigation decisions, our flexibility in the defense of obscure, selectively applied concepts that ran counter to our own self-interest. But solidarity, Mr. President, cuts both ways, and no definition of solidarity can be extended to encompass complicity in one's own destruction. As with a war, as with a natural disaster, as with an economic collapse, as with an attack on our sovereignty and our right to self-determination, we come before you to request your staunch support and solidarity in these months leading to Paris. The summit has produced declarations on climate change and island states. This summit has. We ask today, as citizens of this region, as brothers and sisters, and as a civilization under threat, to convert those words to meaningful deeds. Mr. President, in closing, I wish to personally congratulate you on your ascension to the chairmanship of this unique community and wish you every success in leadership for the duration of your tenure. St. Vincent and the Grenadines stands ready to provide support or advice or whatever is necessary to you and to the Republic of Ecuador in your important tasks of leadership. May we continue to dwell as brothers and sisters in unity. I thank you very much.
I thank you very much, Your Excellency, and I now turn the floor to His Excellency Alva Baptiste from the state of St. Lucia. You have the floor.